Welcome to Sovereign and Specie. I have a little exercise that I want to do here, and maybe this is something that I'll make a regular thing for this channel. I want to show my dollar cost average of the last 2 weeks. I have all of these things strewn around the edges here to explain, while I show my dollar cost average, that this market we're dealing with, this collective market of precious metals, that's what we're all interested in here. Whether you're a stacker, some form of investor, whether you just enjoy pretty things, or you're a numismatist or collector, this is the precious metals market that we're all here for, either creating or watching these videos on YouTube. So the first thing I'm going to do in this little exercise is take the items from my last dollar cost average of the past 2 weeks, describe them, and place them where I think they belong. If I see them as a purchase that is more connected to one of these 4 markets, then I will move it to that side. So the point of this video is to describe that this precious metals market we find ourselves all mingling within is one big collective market, yes, of precious metals, but it's actually a meeting place of 4 different markets, if you ask me. And using my dollar cost average of the last 2 weeks, I'm going to show you what I think separates the things that we purchase and the things that we stack into these different markets, and why you find people from different perspectives, and why you find people from multiple markets with multiple drivers gunning after the same items. Now, a female stacker drew up these little signs for me because my handwriting is whack, so I have her to thank for that. And I want to do a video here soon talking about her sort of journey into stacking. Now, we have the consumer market. This includes jewelry, novelties, art, all sorts of novelty goods, anything that is sort of just has the appeal of beauty and novelty and glamour. But that's not all the consumer market is. We also have the uses of industry. We have precious metals found in medicine and skincare. There's people eating gold leaf out there. There's colloidal silver that you can rub on your face or drink in your tea. I don't know. So precious metals definitely have a consumer market. That can be for different types of industries and in the business world, or it can be jewelry, things that people enjoy, and art. This precious metals market includes traders of valuable goods, traders of commodities, investors, speculators, stock traders, paper and physical profiteers looking to build wealth, to turn a profit, to make a good deal. So this is one side of the precious metals market. Another side of the precious metals market includes many people who come from the collectors market. Now, collectors include many things. I'm calling it the collectors of precious rarities because it is a specific market. It's not just hoarders or people who grab random things. Collectors like things to be authentic. Collectors like things to be authentic, rare, recognized, respected, and precious. And in the precious metals market, collectors are generally numismatists. They're generally people here who are into coin collecting, and that brings them into this precious metals market where we all meet. The traders are trading commodities. They're trading what is valuable, what has value attached to it, what's going at a high price. They trade what's going at a good price. So traders, these are your distributors, dealers, bullion dealers, speculators. They will be meeting somewhere in the precious metals market, working with collectors of precious rarities, which I'm generally using to refer to numismatists here, but this includes many things. Baseball cards, collecting like this probably started with historical artifacts, relics, things that go in museums, wartime military artifacts, and from there, numismatists, coin collectors, are probably some of the earliest collectors, some of the original collectors out there. And from numismatists and the collectors of these rare and ancient and precious and extraordinary things, These lovers of extraordinary things have in the modern day become collectors of pop culture items. There's plastic numismatics out there. There are all sorts of things that are even numismatic, not just collectible because they're authentic and rare and limited and recognized and what have you, but there are things out there in the collector's market that are plastic and numismatic. They've been authorized as currency by a government. You can find all sorts of little strange numismatic items out there. So the collector's market is actually very broad, but numismatists are a very, very special group of this market that are probably the most complex, some of the most complex and detailed collectors when it comes down to it. Then we have consumers of valuable goods. These are everyone on the consumer side who isn't turning a profit, everyone who's not even preserving any wealth. This includes everyone who is finding a use or has a desire for precious metals, but finds no place for them that actually preserves wealth or builds wealth in any way. This includes people eating gold leaf, people rubbing colloidal silver on their skin and putting it in their drinks, people sleeping under silver-lined sheets, people wearing silver in their shoes. But it also includes industrial uses. There is medicinal and skincare, like I just said. There are businesses that purchase and make a profit in a market that is a consumer market, and it includes lots of precious metals. So this market is another market that meets somewhere along with all the other people. Art is what I failed to mention there. Art is a huge part of this market. There are people who make a lot of money on art made with precious metals, and there are people who spend a lot of money and none of it really appreciates. There are people who spend lots of money on precious metals art, and none of that money really appreciates for them. Although it does hold its value of its weight. Now, finally, the stackers, the preppers. These are your folks who are preserving wealth. They are focused on preservable things. They're not only stacking Silvertown rounds, they're stacking Remington rounds. We're going to refer to this as ballistic copper. But they are stacking canned fish. They're stacking preservable things, preservable goods, precious necessities, food, self-defense, wealth. These are your stackers. So, these are the four markets where we all find ourselves mingling in the precious metals market. Now I'm going to take my dollar cost average of the last 2 weeks here in the middle and try to find a place here, whether it stays in the middle, whether it swaps positions with another piece, or whether it just gets pushed to the side. I'm going to start with this St. Helena 1.25, 1.25 ounce piece. I bought this to sort of create a little typeset for myself. Not anything of serious extra value at all, but I purchased this gold piece a long time ago, and it wouldn't be a great purchase if I paid a high premium for it. I feel like it would have been a bad purchase. I'm sure it was annoying some folks with this sitting over here in the collector's area because there is the tiniest scrap of numismatic collectability attached to this piece. The simple fact that it is a coin is the only thing that makes this numismatic in any way. The fact it has a date is the only thing that makes this collectible in any way. It is not a collector's item. It is fairly generic. It is minted by a small island country, and really the only reason that is an interesting place is because it's the island of St. Helena, where Napoleon was imprisoned by the British and supposedly poisoned by an Irish doctor under orders from the British. But I'm not going to put it down here in the consumer market area, the consumer market here. Why? Well, I didn't pay a high premium on them. I got them close to spot price. So honestly, these are going to go over in the stackers area. These are going to go over in stackers items. Those were good purchases for what I paid and for the intention that I bought them, to preserve wealth in the form of precious metals. Moving on, I have this broken ring. This is a sterling silver Claddagh ring. It broke here at the tiniest point, which is basically just a piece of wire soldered together. This is the ring of someone very close to me. She has purchased a new one. She's who drew up these little signs for me to describe these 4 markets. I will do a more in-depth video on her stacking journey here soon, but for now, the story of the ring. She came to me and said, look, my ring broke. And she was going to go try to have it repaired or scrap it to a jewelry shop, pawn shop, and buy a new one. So, while she has ordered the new one, I said, don't do that. They're going to give you under spot. Let me give you double spot price for it. It's 2 grams. Double spot price is around $10. She eventually said, no, you can just have it. And I said, well, then let me give you spot price so we both feel good about it. And that's what I did. So, broken ring for spot price. This is kind of why I wanted to talk about all of this, because you want to stay out of this consumer market. You want to stay out of spending premiums on jewelry. But if you can find a deal like this is stacker territory. I'm not going to put the ring down here in the consumer market. Yes, this one's staying down there. Actually, it's going on my finger. But I purchased this. It's like 1/4 ounce of sterling silver. I purchased this for about $100. I got it for sentimental reasons. I got it because my horse and my grandmother passed in the same year. My grandmother was a horse according to the Chinese. So this is definitely a sentimental purchase. It's a consumer purchase. This is a stacker purchase. This is possibly a speculator purchase. This is a commodity trader purchase right here, boys. Getting into the jewelry business. But this is what bullion dealers are doing. They're buying melt silver at a low premium and at a docked price. And then they're going and melting it into something. They're selling it to a refiner. They're selling it to a mint who has a refinery. So this is the point of this video, to show that the way you enter these different markets can make any of them a good or a bad market to be in. So this is staying in the middle. I'm happy with that purchase. Now, 1996 Silver Eagle. This is my most recent purchase. Walked in a coin shop and looked at a couple things, and I asked him how much their eagles were, and I said, just give me an eagle. I didn't even want to look at them. I just said, just give me one of them 96 Silver Eagles. Paid $79 for it. Now, I think that's a pretty good price. That's the only reason I would leave this here in the middle. When I see these online for $120, I cannot believe people are paying that for 96 Business Strike Silver Eagles. And for that reason, to really drive that point home, it's going back here with its friends in a tube of Business Strike, Bullion Strike, Silver Eagles. That key date, if you ask me, does not make it okay. So it was good for the dollar cost average, but when I see them online and knowing what people pay for them, I think going after 96 Eagles is pretty insane. You could do worse buying Eagles, but sometimes the premium on these is just out of the water. But for how much I paid for it, I consider it a speculative buy. Consider it an auspicious buy. It's going up here with the profiteers. Now, Engelhard 1985 Prospector round. I really wanted to talk about this piece a little bit, and I'm running out of time. But this is a perfect example. We got a 1985 Prospector round. This piece is a perfect example of how not all things that have collectability are numismatic. Not all precious metals that are collectible are coins. They're not numismatic, they're not sovereign. They are a bullion investment piece. They're a vintage bullion investment piece from the 80s. They are not sovereign. They are not numismatic in any sense, but they are authentic. They are rare. There's under 100,000 minted. That's less than 2001 Buffalo dollars. 2001 Buffalo dollars, there's about 500,000 Buffalo dollars out there. 500,000. There's less than 100,000 Prospector rounds out there of this year anyway. But to really compare them, so if numismatists even appreciate the authenticity, the preciousness, the rarity, the extraordinariness of an Engelhard round. the respected recognizability of an Engelhard round. And there's less than 100,000 of these, but there's quite a few years minted. There's only 1 year minted of these. This is just to sort of describe, once again, how these are 4 different markets, separated into 4 different markets, one collective market. Now, the Engelhard round could be seen to hobbyists, novelists, novelty enjoyers, jewelry, beauty, glamour enjoyers. The Engelhard round could be seen as something beautiful and desirable to them as well. So it fulfills really perfectly all 4 categories of the precious metals market. As a bullion investment piece for the commodities trade, as a stacker's piece for stacking your preciouses and your necessities, as a collector's piece, not numismatic, but as a collector's piece, and as a art piece. It has one of the most recognized designs. So, this is staying in the middle. I got this close to spot price. That's a good buy. In my opinion, that was a good purchase. That's going in the middle with the ring. Now, Stone Mountain $50. I've already shown this on this channel, but I thought I would show it again because it was 2 weeks ago that I got this, and part of this dollar cost average. There were over 1 million of these minted, but they're 101 years old. This condition, even though I paid twice what it's worth, I'm pretty sure, in silver, I think I paid $60 for it. In this condition, I consider this a good buy. I'm going to hold on to it for a long time. I'm a lover of Civil War history. I consider it a good buy, but it might have been a little bit of a sentimental buy. It could go down here in the consumer market. Platinum. This is my second platinum piece. It ran me $90. It is a 1 gram 9995 Swiss 1 gram platinum 9995 Pamp. This is my second platinum piece ever. But yeah, I overpaid for this. This was just to dip my toes a little more into platinum. I don't get a good buy. In fact, I'm going to place it up here where I think it belongs if you can get a lot of it at bulk prices up here in the commodity market. 3 1/10 Incuse Indian rounds from Golden State Mint. These ran me about $30. Don't get me wrong. I think fractional is awesome. I think it's even worth it. I think it's worth spending that little bit extra to have such fractional. I think that's very cool. But I will say, at like almost $100 an ounce, So I do love these, and I'm glad I bought them. They're not going to stay in the middle. They have to go over in the stacker area. If you can get these, at a decent price, they're very, very stackable. Now go over here in the stackers area with your constitutional. Well, let me finish. This was a goofy buy. I absolutely tore the box to heck. You can see it is collectible. Limited mintage of 3,000. This is not a good buy. This is an art buy. I ripped the heck out of the box. I think it is tamper evident or child-proof, one or the other. But yeah, this was purely for entertainment purposes. I did not buy this thing for any other reason but to show it off and enjoy the novelty of it. This was a pure novelty-based purchase. This is a purchase made purely based off of novelty. Unless I had some very reliable, already trusted business going on, and I kept it in the box in the cellophane from the company that produces them, really there's no way to turn this over and get what I put into it back out. The only thing I can really do with it is stack it as an art piece and try to, like a jewelry piece, and just hope that one day it's worth 10 times what I paid for it, which will probably never happen. So this was not a good buy for stacking purposes or collector's purposes, even though there's a limited mintage of only 3,000. So 5 gram skeleton cowboy art piece. That's going down here with the jewelry. So before I go, I wanted to talk a little bit about copper. These are just some copper pennies, pre-82. Copper has been part of the numismatic market for since the beginning of time. Copper has been traded as a commodity forever. Copper has been used in industries and by consumers forever. And with the loss of the penny and prices moving like they are, and inflation moving like it is, copper has just become part of the stackers market. If you ask me, now this is going to get some heat. There's going to be some people fight me on this one. If you ask me, because copper is semi-noble, it is numismatic, it is a commodity, it is a consumer and industrial good, it is a consumer and industrial product. If you ask me, copper has just become one of the precious metals. Copper's precious now. It's semi-precious at least. I know that's going to get me some arguments in the comment. Leave a comment if you disagree with that. If you think copper isn't a precious metal, disagree with me in the comments. But yeah, the way I see it, copper in the past year has entered the precious metals collective market. The stackers have started buying up copper. Now, is it a good idea to buy copper in this form? Generic rounds? No. You're probably better off buying ballistic copper. But still, copper is now a stacker's item. We're going to go ahead and add that over here. There is also numismatic copper. I think copper pennies are probably your better buy when it comes down to it. There's a lot more I intended to go over in this video, such as buffalo nickels, this 3-cent nickel that I picked up, bicentennial quarters, and what I'm going to start calling constitutional copper, 22 karat, 91.67% constitutional copper. Hey, spot price is still under face value, guys. It's time to get in. This is a little stack of 1982, both large and small date pennies. I just wanted to keep them separate because I think they are very cool. I think those are all of my copper ones, and these are 2 zinc, and I believe these are 2 zinc 1982 small and large date. But yeah, I just keep those separate to kind of keep my mind fresh and remind me of the fact that this numismatic market doesn't always include precious metals, and the things that drive numismatic premium are not the things that should drive your purchases as a stacker. So I'm going to start trying to crank out more videos in a sort of casual long-form chat way, and to get myself ready for when I finally get 50 subscribers and I can live stream. So please subscribe, leave a comment so I can get some more subscribers. Once I hit 50, I think that's 24 more subscribers, I'll be able to live stream and talk about these things in a much more engaged way with my viewers. So please like the channel. Thanks for watching. Everyone have a great day. Everyone stay tall, stay stacking, stay sovereign. This has been Sovereign and Specie.